versus Ulster. Good evening, welcome to Ulster Rugby Live. It's round 18 of the Guinness Pro 12. Stephen Ferris and Maurice Field are with us. How confident are you that Ulster can make it 6 wins in a row tonight?
Well, you just look at the team sheet and it oozes confidence for me. If we can get good set-piece ball to this backline, then hopefully we should do a number over this Newport Gwent Dragons side. With their backs are against the wall, they're sitting pretty low down in the table, but I have every confidence that they can keep this run going, and they need to keep it going because of the position we are in the table, and the Scarlets are right behind us. Yeah,
when you look at the table, Maurice, it looks like it's 4 out of 5 for the top 4 places. Glasgow with an outside chance of squeezing in. And one other game to keep an eye on tonight, the Scarlets are already beating Edinburgh with 2 scores. So there's not a lot of wriggle room for Ulster.
There's not. And if Scarlets win this evening and Gwent Dragons do a number on Ulster, which they've done several times in the past, it seems they're a bit of a bogey team for Ulster, that would put the Scarlets into 4th and Ulster drop back to 5th. I mean, Ulster have been exceptional in the last 5 games, getting 24 out of 25 maximum points, so they've got to try and keep that momentum going.
It looks like the Scarlets are on their way to a bonus point tonight, not even half an hour gone in that game. They've already scored 3 tries now, so Ulster need to turn in an impressive performance tonight, and a big night for Luke Marshall making his 100th appearance.
Well, what a great achievement, to get 100 caps for your province or for your club, and he's playing really well at the minute. Interesting to see, he's got the 13 on his back this week, and Darren Cave's inside him at 12, but Darren Cave's really, really good at chatting in defence and attack, and really gets the team moving forward, so that's maybe a reason why he's outside Stuart Oldham playing 10.
As you said, Maurice, Ulster don't have a great record at this venue. They've lost twice out of the last 3 occasions.
Yeah, and they've gone over there in times when we're expecting bonus point wins, and on a couple of occasions last season and the season before, we've gone over there having put a cricket score on them here in Belfast, gone over to Rodney Parade, and just the mindset just hasn't been right. But I think there's a focus, there's a slight difference this time where they need to keep winning games, they need to win by bonus points. So therefore, there's a sharper focus in this Ulster squad.
Yeah, as you say, when they haven't had good performances there in the past, it can be a tricky place to go. But Stephen, at least tonight the weather looks a little kinder than it has been in previous years.
Well, if it's anything like Belfast was today, hopefully it'll make for some entertaining rugby. But I think Ulster will want 4 points. It's a tough place to go and get a win, so 4 points, keep this momentum going, and keep us on track for a top 4 finish. But as Maurice alluded to there, it is very, very difficult across there in Wales to get a victory. But I have every confidence in the lads tonight.
And this is against a struggling Dragons team, but against a team of players who have probably plenty to play for as well off the pitch.
Yeah, I think obviously the Welsh Rugby Union are taking Gwent Dragons on board now as one of their provinces, and they're investing money from the first side, so boys are playing for their contracts.
OK, Maurice, Stephen, thank you very much indeed. There's Luke Marshall on his way out for his big night. Let's join our commentary team, Robert Jones and Jim Neely.
Well, I had the pleasure of giving Richard Marshall, Luke's dad, a lift to this ground, and he's come over especially because this is such a huge occasion for his son Luke, who made his Ulster debut way back in the 2010-11 series, or season I should say, against Munster, and here he is racking up 100 caps. Just the one change in the Ulster back division. Darren Cave, as we said, comes in with Luke Marshall moving to 13 up front. Andy Warwick starts. Ian Henderson, fresh from international success, comes into the back row, and there's a recall for a man who's been in just about every matchday squad, and that's Sean Reedy, who starts this one at number 8. Not for the first time this season. His 19th start of the season, more than any other player in this current Ulster squad. Well, a little bit of colour, needless to say, for a huge occasion here at Rodney Parade. Amidst all the chat about it being taken over by the Welsh Rugby Union, the one thing that is completely and 100% certain is this fellow here, Lewis Evans, comes out for his 200th appearance for the Dragon. He's been a Dragon all his life, representing Wales at sevens level, under 18, 19 and 20. This is his 11th year here in the colours of the Dragons, and it's a big night for him. Dragons have made 5 changes. Carmera moves to full-back, Tom Priddy and Adam Hughes on the wings, and Charlie Davis at scrum half up front. Rhys Buckley comes into the front row, Nick Creswell into the second row, and the back row is unchanged. We have a Scots referee, former outside half for both Glasgow and for London Irish, and a man who played for Scotland in the Sevens game, the truncated version, more than some 30 times. Made his Pro 12 debut for Munster against Treviso in November just last year. Well, there's a man who got a very special mention in the foreword by the Dragons Chief Executive Stuart Davis, saying that this will probably be the last time that we'll see Ruan Pienaar play here at Rodney Parade, and he thanked him for everything he's done, and I think it's an amen from Ulster supporters. Taken in straight away by the South African Karl Meyer, the Dragons fullback, and Ulster being aggressive in the tackle. That's what they'll have to do. Charlie Davis gets it away. Good driving run by the big tight head prop Brock Harris. Davis waits. Pienaar felt he was maybe blocked a little bit there. Underneath it go Ulster, and Craig Gilroy might just have knocked that forward. Referee happy to play advantage. Davis gets it away. Lively start by the Dragons, and they've created a little bit of width in this one. I'm not sure the kick was the right option there with a little overlap. And we get the thoughts, first thoughts of the evening from Rob Jones. What do you think of that?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. You know, when you've got possession, when you're getting the ball wide, if you are going to put it downfield, you want to put pressure on the opposition and get them to play and come back at you. And Sam Beard on that occasion just happy enough just to put it, what, 15 metres down the park, but ultimately it's turnover ball, Ulster ball, and I think Kingsley Jones, the coach, will be disappointed.
Tyler Morgan, one of just 2 Welsh internationals, was the man who kicked that ball. First line out, Rob Herring, who's captaining Ulster for the 27th time. Good take at the back by Ian Henderson. Score of Ireland's very significant try against England last weekend at the Aviva Stadium. Ulster moving forward and catching the Dragons coming in offside, and that's a good crisp start. You've got to get your forwards, Rob, giving you the right pattern, don't you?
Well, yeah, it's certainly early on in the game, and again, the Newport Gwent Dragons would have hoped for better. They've got a fair bit of experience in that front 5, certainly as well in the back row, and discipline is so key, and giving penalties away early on to allow Ulster to relieve the pressure is not what they'd want to do. You know, it's a home game here, the pitch is in the best of conditions. It's better than it's been for most of the year, but you know, here's an opportunity for the Dragons to show the potential new owners, the Welsh Rugby Union, that they are capable of competing against the best.
Really won that at the front. Stuart Olding retained in the outside half position with Paddy Jackson on the bench this evening. Rare position for him to occupy. This is Alan O'Connor, formerly of the Leinster Academy. Andrew Warwick, formerly of Ballymena Academy. Good shunt by the chunky loose head prop. Pienaar gets it away. Olding. Jared Payne. Rob Herring, who's not slow. Good handoff by Ulster's captain. Just held off the would-be attacker. Pienaar, better stuff now by Ulster. Sean Reedy gets across the 22. Quick ball now by Pienaar. Olding. Chris Henry.
Release Black!
Again, Dragons being just a little bit edgy, and Pienaar gets it away quickly. Jared Payne. Reedy should have given that perhaps. He had Darren Cave outside him. Still there for Ulster. Good strong forward drive by the visitors. Pienaar again. What a start by the men in white. And again it's Warwick. Bit of help from his hooker. Dragons have managed to slow it down just that little bit. Henderson. Sam Beard getting in the way. Here come Ulster again, and again it's their skipper, Rob Herring. Little dink through by Olding, a wee bit too far perhaps, and that's going to be a 22.
Well, disappointing end result, but some great build-up play. Again, Pienaar showing real intent, trying to keep the pace going to ensure that, you know, the Dragons' defence don't just sit tight and wait. So great work by Pienaar. I think Sean Reedy, I think you're right, that ball should have gone. There was an opportunity. Jared Payne held the ball long enough, and that's just hands there.
Yeah, quick transfer would have done it. Cave was in.
Yeah, absolutely, Cave was in. Opportunity missed, I think, there, Jim.
Angus O'Brien, one of quite a few members of this Dragon side born here in Newport, and that's a long restart kick taken in by Craig Gilroy. Olding. He struck that nicely. He needs the bounce to be kind, and what a very good kick by Stu Olding.
Yeah, he's an accomplished player, isn't he? Holding normally plays in midfield, but has stepped into this number 10 jersey and looks very, very comfortable. And again, the ability just to see space, put the ball where it matters, and you know, just keeping the Ulster side on the front foot, keeping the pressure on the Dragons. So great play by Oldham.
Scarlets leading Edinburgh by 26 points to 10. I wouldn't be surprised if they've got the bonus point already. That gives them 5 points in that game. So more pressure on Ulster to do something here tonight just to keep the Scarlets at bay. The Scarlets have a much easier run-in, remember. Ulster's last 3 games look horrific. Away to Munster, away to the Ospreys, and at home to Leinster. So Ulster, last 3 games, have the 3 sides who are sitting at 1, 2 and 3 in the table. And that's what they call these days a good exit strategy by the Newport Gwent Dragons, but Ulster will get the line out. The pitch, somebody described as slightly unkindly, has just about the same amount of grass as the beach at Porthcawl. Rob, what do you think?
No, I think you're right. I mean, to be honest, it's in far better condition than some of the matches we've seen already this year. The Ospreys game around the Christmas period was horrendous. You know, it's certainly a concern for the Newport Gwent Dragons, and hopefully some investment in the ground will be forthcoming.
Well, Ulster got the pause to it, but they knocked it forward, and referee playing advantage to the Dragons. A wee bit clumsy there. Slung very wide by Adam Hughes. Ulster got themselves right across the field. Clever work on the narrow side by Davis, and a good thrust once again by Adam Hughes. Aggressive wing 3/4. Another Newport boy, born here in the town. Big tackle by Ian Henderson. Is he going to be in the mix? I'm sure he's going to be in the mix, but will be foremost in Warren Gatlin's thoughts, Lions-wise. Good take by Craig Gilroy, and he got out of that splendidly. But Ulster back inside their own half. Pienaar, Olding. Was there a bit of obstruction there? I don't think so. Good work by Darren Cave, realising that the way outside him was blocked off. Pienaar just half thought about a little break there. Jared Payne. Tackled by Rhys Buckley, back in the middle of the Dragons' front row. Here's the boy with 100 caps. Marshall, he's hit that just nicely, and he's hit his opposition ball carrier just nicely, and Marshall has forced the line out for Ulster.
Ulster looking really sharp, in fairness, and Pienaar's called all the shots. And he's been able to call the shots because the speed of the ball, delivery-wise from the breakdown, has been first class. Everything keeps the momentum going, keeps Ulster moving forward on the front foot. And as a result, on that occasion, Luke Marshall's little chip through, it just keeps them slowly but surely working down the field. Good tackle, good hit, into touch, Ulster ball again.
We're not going to get too sentimental about Ruan Pienaar, Rob, but having played in the same position as him, how would you rate him?
I mean, he's been fantastic for us. I think he's been fantastic for British rugby as a whole, and even European rugby. You know, his ability to move between 10 and 9, you know, is just control on the game. He might not be the quickest, he might not be the sharpest, he might not be the best passer in the world, so technically he's not as gifted as maybe some others, but as a rugby player, a guy who commands respect, and more importantly controls matters so well from the base. I don't think there's been many better, certainly over the last 10 years in sort of, you know, in this level of rugby.
Amen to that. Olding, oh, clever little dummy, very nearly got through over the 10-metre line. Ulster on the front foot, there's room out wide, but the ball came back a little bit slowly. What a clever kick, just to illustrate the value, and that's gone loose. This could be a try, and it is a try. What a start by Ulster. Craig Gilroy gets in for his 40th league try, and Ulster take the lead after just about 10 minutes.
Well, it was a great try, great follow-up. You know, disappointing, I'm sure the Dragons will be, but it's, again, it's a rugby ball. It can bounce left, bounce right, bounce backwards, and you know, you just have to be aware of that. But it's that man Pienaar again. We spoke so highly about him just a couple of minutes ago, and that's a kick into space. You've got your winger going backwards, your full back trying to cover the space, but the man coming forward is Craig Gilroy, and when he got his boot to the ball, he got across, and you know, that's just looking and seeing where the opportunity might be. Great vision by Pienaar and great control and pick up by Gilroy.
If you did that on the golf course, Rob, you would swear it was a deliberate bit of backspin, wouldn't you?
Well, occasionally that does happen, Jim, but no, it's more luck than judgment. But as I said, Pienaar just is running the show so far. You know, I know it's early days in this game, but certainly in terms of keeping pace and tempo in the game and, you know, making things happen for Ulster, he's right up there at the moment.
And the man who put the clever little kick in has added the conversion. And Ulster leading by 7 points to 0.
Yeah, it's just a identifying that the Dragons' backline are up flat. The full-back is sort of middle of the field, trying to cover both areas, so there's space there. And as you said, if you put it into space, the bounce of the ball could work to your advantage, and on that occasion it did.
Long restart kick by Angus O'Brien. Taken out by Gilroy. Twinkly toes, and he gets away from one, two rather half-hearted Dragons tackles. Reedy whips it wide. Payne. Nicely taken by Charles Piatow. And Darren Cage just couldn't quite hold that unexpected inside pass from Charles Piatow.
Yeah, again, a long ball like that is often so easy to defend. I think had it gone through the hands, it would have been a bit more pressure on the Dragons' defence. But when you miss two players out, when you throw that long ball, it's quite easy to drift across and put the pressure on Piatow as the Dragons did.
Well, the ball was knocked forward. I wonder was it in touch before the knock forward, but the line out anyway is going to go to the Dragons. Buckley. Taken in the middle by Nick Cudd, acting as an auxiliary jumper, the open side flanker. Referee has said no, it was on the ground, and Dragons moving forward, so the ruck had formed, so Dragons will get the put in to the scrummage.
That's one thing I say about the Dragons' back row. It's all very workmanlike. You know, Ollie Griffiths, Nick Cudd has been fantastic at you know, often behind a beaten, retreating pack. He constantly makes his tackles. He works so hard at the breakdown. And of course, Lewis Evans at 8 with 200 games just shows that he's a stalwart of the club, of the region, and you know, they're a real workman-like back row.
And both Evans and Cudd have been knocking on the Welsh senior door for quite some time and have never managed to have that door open, have they?
Well, Wales have been fortunate back row-wise. You know, there's a lot of depth there, and these two guys have done very, very well here at the Dragons. Unfortunately, not quite good enough for international level.
Ulster, just a matter of 3 pounds a man heavier, 17 stones 10, the average weight of the Ulster pack, 17-7 the Dragons pack, so there's a fair old bit of Ulster and Welsh beef in there.
I just sense the difference at the moment is just the pace at which Ulster are playing at in comparison to the Dragons. It's all a bit slow, a bit cumbersome when the Dragons get the ball, whereas immediately, you know, so Pina and Co get possession, they just go up a level in terms of pace.
There's Rowan Pienaar just watching his opposite number, Charlie Davis, born in Shrewsbury, had a couple of years with Nottingham. Good disruption there by Ulster and by Pienaar in particular. Ulster could have done with a few more men to the ball, and they've given away the penalty at the breakdown, and this is pretty kickable, I reckon, so the Dragons might just decide to try to claw back a point or two.
Well, I think it's important when the opportunities come your way, certainly early on, first 20-25 minutes of any game, you go for the post, you know, you keep yourself in contention, and that's what Angus O'Brien is about to do. But again, the scrum under a little bit of pressure, ball bobbling out on the side. Great work on by Pienaar again to disrupt and take on Charlie Davis, but someone off their feet or killing possession gives Angus O'Brien this first opportunity.
Just about 15 minutes gone. First real chance of points for the Newport Gwent Dragons. Angus O'Brien, who played no fewer than 7 times for Wales at under 20 level. And he stint with Cross Keys before coming to the Dragons, where he's in his 3rd year. Old-fashioned way to set up the ball. It's almost sort of end on. And he struck that very nicely. It doesn't matter what way you set it up in the tee. It's how it goes between the opposition posts. And having had a period of domination, Ulster now have conceded 3 points. There's still nothing in this. Dragons 3 and Ulster 7.
Yeah, it's still early days, of course. We just sense that, you know, as I said, I think Ulster certainly look the more complete side so far, but this is 80 minutes of rugby, and one thing to say about the Dragons, very rarely do they just lie down and roll over.
Well constructed kick there by Rowan Pienaar, gave it plenty of height, taken on by Tom Pridey, who was the youngest player ever to play international rugby for Wales. Jared Payne had her in reverse gear there as soon as that ball was struck. Now what's he going to do with it? Again, it's lofted. Taken by his opposite number, Carl Meyer, who's nabbed by Jared Payne. Davis on the narrow side. That's a nicely floated pass and good support play. Kingsley Jones will be pleased enough about that, but the Ulster defence got back quickly. Dragons looking to put another little bit of width in this. They've found their skipper, Lewis Evans, and that's nicely done. Good handling, and away comes Tyler Morgan. Piatow puts in a ferocious man-and-ball tackle. Crowd thought he was offside. Referee was not actually looking there, Mike Adamson. Well away by Lewis Evans. This could be interesting. There were 4 men out there, and the ball carrier decided to come back infield. This might be a kick. It's a bit of a scruffy one. Taken by Jared Payne. Here's Piatow. Well tackled. Also need to be careful they don't get penalised, and Pienaar comes away with it. And that's a belter by Ruan Pienaar. A horrible bounce yet again for the Dragon, but that's mostly sand, so you have no idea where it's going. Looked like a wee bit of obstruction there again. Good tackle there by Ulster. Luke Marshall put it in. Still there for the Dragons, getting across the halfway line, and have really come back at Ulster after that early period of visitors dominating. Again, it's the Dragons, and it's their skipper, Lewis Evans. Well, that was a good little pass there by flanker Ollie Griffith. Put his man into space. Here they come again. Davis back inside, nudged forward. And that was just a little bit on the careless side. Dragons putting together a nice little sequence there, Rob.
Yeah, disappointing end to what was a good passage of play by the Dragons. I spoke about pace, and they were looked a bit static and cumbersome early on. That was a lot better by the Dragons. Again, they're getting the ball away quickly from the breakdown, and getting the ball wide, and the execution of the passes is that much better. Until there, Charlie Davis trying to get that inside ball. I think it was Nick had unexpected. Put it down, but far better. And the Dragons and Kingsley Jones, who's not that far away from us here on the gantry at Rodney Parade, will be a lot happier with what he's seen.
What's your take, very briefly, Rob, as we look at a little bit of a treatment for Big Reynard Landeman and what's going on here with the Welsh Rugby Union poised to take over the whole shooting match here at Rodney Parade?
Well, I think something had to happen. I mean, they've looked for investment for the last couple of years. The owners or the investors, the benefactors, are both just about to turn 80. You know, they're not going to be here forever and a day currently. So there was either new investment or the Welsh Rugby Union to buy the other 50% of the business, the Gwent Dragons, including, of course, Rodney Parade here. I think there's a lot to iron out. It needs the membership to back them in terms of the ground. Newport County, of course, play here as well. So there's a number of things that need to be done, but hopefully I think it's by July it'll happen. I think for the good of rugby here in Gwent, it's probably the best thing that can happen.
Thanks for that, Rob. Succinctly summed up. Just coming up to the end of the first quarter. Ulster leading by 7 points to 3. Solid looking Ulster scrummage. Charlie Davis coming around to try to get his paws on Ruan Pienaar. Olding moves it wide, a little bit laboured. Luke Marshall decides to put boot to ball, and that's a huge kick from another young man who's played a lot of his early rugby in the outside half position. Is it a little bit too far? It is, you know. That's going to come all the way back to the scrum. Well, that's not what you wanted. Having watched 2 of Ruan Pienaar's kicks almost come back in themselves, Luke Marshall thought he would do the same. Didn't work out. Yeah, the vagaries of the laws of physics and a rugby ball.
Exactly, he hit the wrong part of the ground there, I think. Skidded forward and has given the Dragons again a foothold in Ulster's half. I said it was a lovely strike of the ball. You know, he put some real effort behind that. As I said, it's so inconsistent, the bounce of a rugby ball. You have to make sure that you get it perfectly right. And again, it's all about execution. Whether it's the pass or the kick, it has to be right. Otherwise, you put yourselves under pressure.
Scarlets 26-10 up, incidentally, against Edinburgh at the interval. Edinburgh with a man in the bin, Billy Mata, the Fijian sevens expert, the back row forward. In the second quarter here at Rodney Parade. And Ulster, having started so brightly, have gone a little bit back into their shell, but that's perhaps due to the response by the Dragons. Good squeeze in the Ulster scrum. Evans to the far side. Here comes Meyer, tries to get outside his fellow South African. Pienaar, a wee bit on the loose side. Picked up by Brock Harris, another South African. Charlie Davis. Oh, nicely done. Well, a lot of adventure there by the Dragons, and they've set the ball up very nicely. That's really good work at the breakdown by the Dragons side. Taken on by Sam Hobbs, formerly of Cardiff. Still the Dragons going forward. Good work by Angus O'Brien, looking for somebody inside him.
Hold back foot.
Davis.
Off feet wide.
Good work by Rob Herring, Ulster's captain, but the Dragons are keeping possession. Oh, what a solid run by the ever-impressive Ollie Griffith. And Ulster couldn't get him into touch. Hobbs again. Good tackle by his opposite number, Andy Warwick, who's come off the worst of that. This is Nick Cudd making some ground. Better stuff now for the Dragons. There's a wee chance of an overlap. Missed tackle in the middle of the park there by Marshall. Just rushed up out of the line, which will not please Les Kiss. Good drive by big Nick Crosswell from Manawatu in New Zealand. Another New Zealander who's played for Ireland, Sean Reedy, made the tackle. Back inside to Cudd. Better defending this time by Ulster. Andy Warwick seems to be fine again. Still the Dragons keep possession, and again it's the 32-year-old tight head Brock Harris makes the ground. Mike Adamson having a good look to see what's going on in the deck, and he's happy enough. O'Brien. That was knocked forward by Ulster. The referee waiting for advantage to the Dragons, and he's still playing advantage. Now, can they take advantage? Here comes Sam Beard. Good tackle by Stuart Olding. Nick Crosswell again. Well, this is better by the Dragons. There's a half-decent chance here. Taken up to the 22. That was Rhys Buckley, the hooker. It's all Dragons. Landman is enormous, and he's got away. Not quite. I thought he was in there. Still going at him. Hughes come across to his right wing. Dragons only 5 meters away. Well, Ulster have always struggled here, and nothing has changed, you have to say. And again, as Rob Herring has to make the tackle. Surely the Dragons are going to get through. The skipper very nearly did get through, Lewis Evans. And again, they make inroads into Ulster's defending. Pick up and drive once again. They can just about touch the Ulster post, but can they touch it with the ball? Or get that ball across the line? That's all that matters. A try here would give the Dragons the lead and give them such a confidence boost. Charlie Davis gets it away again. Lewis Evans has another go at it. Good sidestepping. Ulster's defence really been tested. Tyler Morgan wasn't too far away. Lots of men there. Davis has a go himself. Raynard Landman is in there trying to just work that ball back. Ulster right back over their own try line, which they have to be. Mike Adamson has a little look. Evans, did he knock that forward? It was good defending there by Ulster, and it was knocked forward. And I have to say, great pressure by the Dragons, but equally good defending by the visitors.
I think you summed it up perfectly there, Jim. Great work defensively, just to sort of regather themselves and put Ulster, put them numbers in the right places, defending very well around the breakdown, because there's no doubt that the Dragons on that occasion were just looking to pierce a hole somewhere close to ruck, close to the maul. But what was impressive with the Dragons there is just the variety in which they attacked. Yes, they picked up, they drove forward, they went around the fringes, they looked for the inside ball, they got some great offloads, but they also played with width. And again, it's the accuracy of the pass. Adam Hughes has looked impressive on the right-hand side. He's looking for work. He's putting his passes in and then chased up. So, you know, great attack, great passage of play, but great defence as well.
Well, Fionn Herbst is leaving the field. There's a good tackle there by Sean Reedy. And an equally good tackle as well by Charles Piatow. He hasn't had a lot of luck since he joined Ulster in terms of injury. Fionn Herbst signed as a special project player. And here's a man who played 112 times for Connacht before joining Ulster this season. And he's had a season full of injuries. So Fionn Herbst is off. I'm not sure whether it's a head injury assessment or not, or whether this is going to be a permanent replacement. But Herbst is off, and Rodney Ayew has come on to play his 14th game of the season for Ulster.
That's not a bad replacement, though. Again, you know, he's been around a while. Bags of experience. But you don't want to be losing players, of course, and not early on in a game. you want these guys to come on and make an impact as and when they needed in the last 20-25 minutes, and but it looks as if they're going to have to make do. I don't know if Herbs has said it. I don't think it's a head injury.
Yeah, the Ulster team, Dr. Michael Webb, is taking him off, so he doesn't look as if he's limping or anything, but he may have just jarred something. Who knows? We shall find out anon. In the meantime, it's a defensive scrum for Ulster, just about 5 metres from their own line. Solid scrum. Rodney, you would have added an extra few pounds to that Ulster pack. Pienaar, Cave, as ever, takes it forward just to set the ball up, and Ulster get the penalty, and that's exactly what they wanted. And that will give them a chance just to settle themselves down and clear their lines and think about mounting an attack, because after that early try by Craig Gilroy, it's been all Dragons, Rob.
It has, certainly, yeah. They've certainly upped their game. They looked a bit limp starting off in the first 5 minutes or so, where Ulster certainly had control, but they have worked their way back in and have probably been the best side, certainly in the last 10 minutes or so. But just the 3 points to show for it. And this game is about working hard, defending well, taking your opportunities, and you have to do that for a full 80 minutes.
Les Kiss will have been pretty happy after 10 minutes. I'm not sure after 26 or 7 he's going to be all that happy. Good line out take by Ulster and by Kieran Treadwell.
Don't change your bind.
There goes Rob Herring. Ulster trying to shunt forward and catch the Dragons offside. Pienaar to try to release Gilroy down that far wing. Knocked back, but it's back on the Dragon side. That was a good appreciation of width there. Good tackle by Marshall, and Darren Cave came across to help, but the Dragons have recycled it quickly. Back inside comes Tyler Morgan, still only 21 years of age, another Newport boy. This is Ollie Griffiths, who's another one. A lot of homegrown talent in this Dragon side. A lot of it not too far from international level. Rob Herring makes the tackling. Dragons are getting that ball away quickly. That's gone loose. But play on, said the referee. No offence at all.
Off feet! Hold.
Chris Henry doing a bit of jersey pulling, which wasn't appreciated. That was Nick Croswell made some ground. The Dragons are still going. They've been very competitive at the breakdown as well. Charlie Davis taken by Olding. Was he allowed to go to ground before he was thrown into touch? I think he was. If that's the case, that was good work by Tom Pridey.
Well, it was almost a perfect kick as well, wasn't it, by Charlie Davis? You wanted to drop just outside to that 22-metre line, and I think it almost does that, just about. Couldn't go for the mark, and then Tom Pridey up chasing, as any good winger should be, and getting him in touch. And again, it is better, far better by the Dragons. Tyler Morgan, I think he took a boot to the head.
Yeah, there's a lot of the old claret coming down there, so they'll have to wait until they get a replacement on.
Adam Warren, I think it is, coming on.
That's good to go.
It is Adam Warren.
Good to go. How many, lads? Full, man. On the line.
Been capped once for Wales against the Barbarians away back in 2012. So Adam Warren will move to the outside centre position. Quicker ball now. That looked a bit on the forward side, but doesn't matter because Ulster has stolen it. But they're not really handling that ball very well, Ulster. There's a lot of sloppy stuff in there. Charles Pieter set off, but the whistle had gone.
Yeah, a few mistakes, a few errors creeping in.
Okay, thank you.
I said it was a good ball. I thought that might have been a forward pass from Charlie Davis to Sam Beard, but he just couldn't hold on to it.
Yes,
Ulster did the same.
Yes, throwing the ball about with gay abandon, as the expression goes, but it's not all that terribly effective. But the first knock forward was by the Dragons, so Ulster will get the put into the scrummage.
I'm just going to talk about the Dragons. Tyler Morgan, you know, has been capped. Unfortunately, just hasn't quite established himself within the setup after initial promise. You've got Tom Pridey, as you mentioned earlier, the youngest player to play for Wales, hasn't quite established himself.
Plenty of time, though. Don't you just hate him, 21 years of age. Here's Pienaar. Nearly gets through. That's good support play by Jared Payne. Got the pass away to Sean Reedy, who was in very quick support. Great work on the breakdown, though, by Charlie Davis. Not allowing the man, though, to release the ball, and Ulster get the penalty. And I don't think Ulster will be kicking for goal somehow, Rob.
No, they probably go to the corner. I think that's exactly what Pienaar is looking to do. And Pina again, that's the brilliance of Pina. You know, it's a simple 8-9 move, and you've got to, as a 9, try and get beyond the open side, blind side flanker, and that's exactly what he did. He got beyond Nick Cudd, made the break, and once you do that, it does enough. Cudd gets him, and he's already beyond the defender, and Jared Payne in great support, and that's 60 or 70 yards made so easy by Pina's brilliance.
And Payne did two very clever things there. He was right on Pino's elbow to take the pass, and he made enough ground and turned his body to get the pass away. Rob Herring, better stuff by Ulster at the line-out, but it wasn't straight. And Rob Herring will be giving himself a metaphorical kick in the pants for doing that. Ulster couldn't have been in a better position. The middle ball to the line-out, the quick ball to the back, and alas, it wasn't straight, and the Dragons will get the scrum, and they'll be happy with that.
Well, they will be a huge disappointment for Ulster. When you said you make 70 yards, or 75 yards in total downfield, you get an opportunity to launch an attack, or a driving line out in the Dragons 22, and then just a simple, basic error, something you work on day in, day out, goes astray, and then that's turnover ball.
Bind. Set.
Dragons scrummage. Did be filled by those lines. Those are because of the fact that it's shared with Newport County FC. Ulster going down on the tight head side. Rodney Ayew is second scrummage, and he gives away a penalty. So having made all the ground, about 70 odd metres by some very good play, Ulster then give away the scrum, and from the scrum then they give away the penalty.
Yeah, all down to the pack. Rio Pina again will be disappointed that all the hard work to put yourself in a great position has ended back almost in your own half.
And it's going to be a Dragons line-out. Rhys Buckley, carefully born. He's taking his time, got to get it right. That didn't look straight either. Well, anything Rob Herring can do, Rhys Buckley can do.
Well, I
haven't seen two successive squinty throws like that for a while.
No, you haven't. It's a perfect evening. You know, there's very little wind. It's dry. It's a mild night here in Newport, and just looking there, that's about 2 yards.
That was
almost into Charlie Davis's hands.
It certainly was. Just about to say that. It was right to the scrum half. Ruan Pina having a word with his outside half, Stuart Olding, and just looking to see where Jared Payne has come up. He's come up quite close to the Ulster three-quarter line. Most importantly, Ulster have to win this scrummage, and they haven't looked like losing one, except when Rodney Ayew gave away the penalty, of course.
Set.
And it goes, needless to say, nowhere near down the middle, but nobody cares about that. Pinar. Darren Cave has a go himself, but well read in the middle of the park. Well released, though. Sean Reedy, a little bit upright, so the tackle looked worse than it was. Here's Kieran Treadwell. Got that big shoulder in. Oh. Referee says that was fine, and away come the Dragons. Warren gets it away. This could be interesting. Taken on by Sam Beard. Dragons deep inside Ulster territory now with men to spare out wide if they can shift this. Gilroy had to come in. That was important. That was well away. Good tackling though by Ulster, but the Dragons really putting it up to the visitors. Wonderful one-handed pick up there by Rhys Buckley. Spiralling out of the tackle yet again. And it's Adam Hughes who's been very aggressive. Ulster lying on the ball, trying his best to get away. Play on, says the referee. Here come the Dragons, just heads up rugby they're playing. Reynard Landman, big aggressive fella, captained the Dragons for most of last season. What a good tackle that was by Charles Piatow on Ollie Griffiths. Charlie Davis, Brock Harris. Davis again, little flat ball. This is Warren, beautiful stuff back inside. And again, Ulster's defence really being tested. I think it was Jared Payne made that tackle. Craig Gilroy went in. Still the Dragons keep possession. Still they make ground there. Doing a nice mix of forward and back skills here. This is Brock Harris again, who's been busy. Cudd thought about the pass to Adam Hughes and changed his mind. Again, it's the Dragons. Charlie Davis gets away all too easily from Rodney Ayew.
Tackle now.
Cut at scrum half. Angus O'Brien. Cut again. And again Harris. He's had a lot of carries this evening. Here they come, Reece Buckley. Lewis Evans has to go into scrum half. It's all a wee bit congested in the middle of the park. Chris Henry makes the tackle for Ulster. Chance now for a little bit of width, and they decide to kick. And well positioned is Jared Payne, and he gets away from one tackle and two tackles, and Payne is away. And that's a clever kick into space, and here comes Craig Gilroy, who got the first try, and he really is legging it down. Back goes Carl Mayer, and he's done splendidly, Mayer, down and up again in one crisp movement. Piatow complaining that he was hanging on to it, and he may well have hung on to it, but better 3 points, Rob, than 7. But Ulster, I'm sure, will want to go for 7.
Yeah, it's a great work by Carl Mayer. He looked out on his feet just before he managed to get to the ball. He looked under massive pressure to get back there with Gilroy and Piatow both breathing down his neck, but he did well. Went down, got up. I thought he'd stayed on his feet long enough, but ultimately the referee that was there probably made the right call. But again, a great passage of play by the Dragons to start with. And again, it's not just about getting the ball wide. It's not about driving with the forwards. There's the inside option, the outside option. You've got the driving, the offloading game.
Well, it was well taken in by Jared Payne and a lovely sidestep, and he realised that there was no point in passing to Charles Piatow because he saw 3 Dragons defenders coming across, and Gilroy came up like a steam train. But watch the splendid work by Mayer, who got away from the first tackle, had to go to ground, then he was enveloped, and I think he may just have interfered with the ball on the ground.
I think it was Stuart Olding actually who got in really quickly and in on the ball. But had that kick gone 10 or 15 metres to the left-hand side, you had Gilroy Piatow, that would have been a score, but in midfield, Mayer had a chance.
Ulster settling for the 3-point option, which was carried out by Ruan Pinar. So as half-time approaches, Ulster have gone back to a 7-point lead. It's now the Dragons 3 and Ulster 10, but Ulster haven't, apart from a couple of little spurts, impressed all that much.
Yeah, but what they have done is absorbed the pressure. You know, they haven't allowed the Newport Gwent Dragons, who've had a fair bit of possession, to get across the line to score that try. So they've kept in the game, and when they have gone downfield, they've got points, and that's so important.
O'Brien puts it long. Gathered in by Reedy, who went to the ground but managed not to spill it. Pinar is inside his 22, so he can kick if he wants directly into touch. I'm not sure he meant to put it just almost vertical. It's taken in by the Dragons. Ulster wrestling for it, and they go to ground, and Mike Adamson has decided it's going to be a scrum to the Dragons, who have competed for just about everything.
Yeah, they have. They've been 100%, no doubt about that. And Ruan Pinar, who has been almost faultless, but that wasn't the best of kicks. He would have wanted that probably 10 metres, 50 metres further downfield in order for Gilroy to compete. But it was just, I think he just skied it, lifted his head, fell back a little, and as a result it goes straight up in the air and gives the Dragons a scrum opportunity and an attacking opportunity. You know, just what, 30 metres out.
Yeah, Pinar has been very vocal this season. He's showing not just great efforts in terms of his play, but he's done a lot of terrific work in terms of overall leadership and generalship, which is what you want your scrum half to do. Charlie Davis just breathing heavily.
Set.
He's had a little glance to see where the Ulster backs are deployed.
Okay, keep it up. Keep it up.
Decent scrum by the Dragons.
Okay, let's use it.
Evans, well disrupted by Pinar. Knocked backwards, said the referee. Also thought it might have been forward. That's a little bit loose, gathered in by Tyler Morgan. Gets away from the tackle of Luke Marshall. Dragons on the front foot yet again. The skipper, Lewis Evans, makes some decent ground. Charlie Davis. Good work by big Sam Hobbs, for many years a stalwart of the Cardiff Blues. And again, the Dragons moving forward, but the pass was a difficult one, but they've kept it. O'Brien. Sidestep by the former Edinburgh centre, Sam Beard, in his first season here in Newport. Davis switches nicely. Nick Crosswell. Buckley went into scrum half. Dragons again trying to find some width. Oh, that's good stuff. Once again by Tyler Morgan, showing all his class this evening. Lewis Evans getting no change out of Alan O'Connor, but he's made it available. Davis gets it away. O'Brien ups the kick, and I think that's a little bit too much on it. Directly into touch, and that will come back for an Ulster line-out. So half-time beckoning. Ulster 10-3 up, Rob, but they probably would have fancied themselves to be in a much more commanding position.
Well, I think before the game, I think most people would have thought, but you know, hats off to the Dragons. They've come out, they've had a go. They've probably dominated possession, certainly had more attacking opportunities than Ulster. But again, when you've got that much possession, ultimately who's won, the defence or the attack? And there's no doubt the Ulster defence have come out on top. So it's almost a case there. Angus O'Brien kick into the corner, run out of ideas, very few options around him, and that means the pressure that Ulster are exerting in defence is really putting pressure on the decision makers within the Dragons side.
Here's the try. It was the clever kick by Ruan Pienaar. It sat up horribly for the Dragons, but beautifully for Craig Gilroy, who picked it up and dived over with his eternal gratitude, I suspect.
Like you say about Ruan Pienaar, we've been full of praise in most of the evening so far. But the opportunity from that scrum, the Dragons were looking to go left 8 to 9. I think they had two men, Pridey and someone else, out on the left-hand side. So he had to make a decision. He had to make the right decision. You either stand out or you come in and try and close it down at source from the number 8. And he did exactly that. So he took away all the threat on the left-hand side. And that's just understanding the game and making the right decisions when it matters.
Ulster called a 5-man lineup with Chris Henry standing in the scrum half position. And he takes the ball from Kieran Treadwell. And Dragons cleverly did not engage there, so there was no offside. And Ulster, I think, have given away the scrummage because they did a little bit of truck and trailer running into the man in front, which is the old accidental offside. And that was very clever by the Dragons, Rob.
Yeah, it was, standing off, and Ryan Buckley going straight in on the ball. No maul had been formed. Yeah, they just stood back. And as Ulster set up the maul, I think as Ryan Buckley just goes straight in and tries to take it to death, tries to get into the ball. But it was sufficient in terms of truck and trailer for the referee to award scrum Dragons ball.
In a kind of a negative way, one of the highlights for me for the most recent Six Nations was the Italians doing that at Twickenham.
I said a great imagination, inventiveness. Conor O'Shea just thought, how do we prevent a steamrolling England side from getting momentum early on, and he worked. Caused huge confusion.
Ulster getting a bit of pressure on the scrum. Pienaar getting out quick. That wasn't the greatest pass in the world. O'Brien, well tackled by his opposite number, Stuart Olding. Still the Dragons with front football. And that is their redoubtable skipper, Lewis Evans. Now, still just 29 years of age, 200 appearances for the one team at this level. Ulster kick it through, but the referee's the hand out, I think. There's an Ulsterman offside. That's going to be a penalty to the Dragons.
Well, on the basis of where they are time-wise, I think they should go for goal, try and get within a score, and it's 10-3 at the moment. 10-6 at half-time will be pleasing for the Dragons. It's just whether, I think it's Carl Meyer who's got a siege gun boot when he connects. Accuracy is always the issue, but probably a good way for the Dragons to finish off if this goes through the post.
Yeah, it would mean that they just need an unconverted try. It was Chris Henry just straight offside, I think, and got the foot to it. And then the Dragons made a decent bit of ground, but the referee brought them back for the penalty. So Carl Meyer, who had a spell, I do believe, with Ebba Vale before he joined the Dragons.
Yeah, he's a talented guy. He's a strong, powerful South African, as you'd expect. He's been very safe and secure down here at Rodney Parade, and he's done a good job.
So Angus O'Brien takes the short-range kicks, and this fella takes the long-range kicks. But is he going to be successful? What a smack he's given that. That looks pretty good. And he's just pushed it that wee bit wide. So that's rather unfortunate. That's the last act of what has been a stuttering first half. Ulster will be reasonably pleased that they're in the lead, but they've had opportunities to extend that lead and they haven't managed to take them. But their defence they'll be pleased with, particularly. And what a player this man has been. Ruan Pienaar set up the try for Craig Gilroy, his wing three-quarter, and added a penalty. And for the Dragons, a penalty by outside half Angus O'Brien. So not a big crowd here, but some decent rugby, and we hope even more decent rugby to be played in the second half. Half-time at Rodney Parade. It's the Dragons 3 and Ulster 10.
Well, Ulster lead at half-time thanks to some Craig Gilroy magic, but they certainly haven't had it all their own way. The Dragons dominating possession, if not the scoreboard, with just that solitary penalty. So Ulster are in front, but it has been a grind first half.
It has been a grind. I think the scoreline doesn't really reflect the game so far. A bit of a fortuitous bounce for Craig Gilroy to get in first try. But it's the Dragons that are playing all the rugby. They're keeping possession, going through 25, 30 phases at one point before knocking the ball on at the line. And you've got to take their hat off to them. But Ulster they've got to create more havoc at the ruck. They've got to make, the Dragons are just going from side to side, but they're holding on to the ball. And that can be very, very frustrating being an Ulster player. So they need to get up more in defence, target the breakdown and try and get more turnovers. Because when they do have the ball, they do look dangerous. But then, yet again, they turn over possession very, very quickly, whether it be a set piece or stupidly kicking the ball away. So I say Les Kiss will be frustrated at half-time, but he knows if they can hold on to possession that they will be able to score more points.
As Stephen said, because when Ulster had the ball early on, scored that early try, and it all seemed to be going swimmingly.
Yeah, we did say at the very start, it's a bogey ground to go to for Ulster, and Ulster did well. Had ball off the top again. Then it started very, very brightly. Nice break there by Stuart Olding coming through, taking a wee bit out in the ground there. But then Ruan Pienaar identifies that they're out of possession. Said it's fortuitous. I think Rhys
Great skill though, isn't it?
Great skill by Craig Gilroy to pick the ball up. But lucky enough, he had Rhys Buckley, the hooker, out in that, covering his wing. Winger's out of possession. I think if it had been Winger, out of possession, again, can't legislate for the bounce of the ball. But good footballing skills by Gillies. But immediately after that, we went passive in everything we did. Ulster just stopped. They stopped playing, and Stephen mentioned there, we just weren't aggressive enough, and we've actually allowed for the next 28, 30 minutes for Gwent Dragons to come back and just control the pace of the game as they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, credit to the Dragons. They hung on to the ball remarkably well, even though that didn't translate into many points on the scoreboard. I mean, one of the phases lasted over 32 times. I mean, how zapping is that when you're a defence?
It is very zapping, but for me, if I was standing in that Ulster defensive line, there's nothing that the Dragons are throwing at the boys that they can't really deal with.
So you're not too concerned? You're not really too concerned?
No, I'm not concerned that they're holding on to the ball. What I would be concerned about is that we're not getting up and making impact tackles. I'm sure the stats after this, the amount of soak tackles that we're making during the game, and that just makes it easy for the Dragons side. We need more impact tackles, put them on the back foot so as Angus O'Brien can't get into the line and start throwing those wide passes. But they are making the odd few yards, but we do look comfortable and we just need possession, Stephen.
Good defence by Ulster, but when you don't have the ball in your hands, Morris, it can become frustrating as well.
It becomes frustrating, and people are looking around for somebody else to make the big hit. We've seen there Reinhard Laman, Steve and I talked about this. You'd love to have a second row like that in your team, he says, and he plays 100% every game. He's on for 80 minutes all the time, and he's the sort of talisman within that Gwent Dragons team. But they're going forward, but they're not penetrating. They're not penetrating the Ulster defence, and that can be quite soul-destroying as well. The Gwent Dragons have had a week off, first time since pre-season. They came back and said, maybe we've been refreshed. So the confidence isn't really there. They've had 30 minutes of constant play, but haven't got any points out of it.
Ulster had a couple of chances when they could have scored tries early on as well. Good opportunities, Stephen.
Yeah, and when you don't have the ball, you want to hold on to it. But here, this is what they practice every day in training. Once Sean Reedy stepped half a yard inside, he should have just given a nicely floated ball to Darren Cave. I think it was on his outside, and I've no doubt Darren Cave would have got in the corner there. But it's early on in the game. Sometimes you don't want to throw that pass in case it doesn't stick. But Stuart Olding's got to hold on to that ball. You've got to build pressure. You've got to build momentum. You've got to build doubt into the opposition's minds, and they're not doing that. They're just kicking away possession. So I think Les, half-time again, will be saying, guys, when you get the ball in the green zone, you know, you got to hold on to it, and we've got to come away with points, whether it be a try or 3 points, because if you get 7 points or more away from this team, you know, the position that they're in at the minute, they could be out the gate.
The other side of that there, Stephen, was the fact that 3 minutes, first time points. I would have taken the points immediately 3 minutes into the game, and Gwent Dragons on, oh no, we're in for a hiding, we've got to kick off, give Ulster back possession again. What happened was we went through those phases there, we didn't score.
And also, when Ulster do have the ball, I mean, great run by Jared Payne coming up to put them in good striking position. They've given the ball away at set piece as well, in the scrum and line-out, which Les Kiss will not be pleased about.
No, he won't be pleased with it, and I think Franco van der Merwe, when he's playing, one thing you can say when Franco's in the squad and he's starting is that the line-out will function really, really well, and it has not. And you know, when you throw your first line-out and Ian Henderson, who has been brilliant over the whole season, knocks it on, you know, look at that, that's an easy catch and the big man knocks it on. It's very unlike him, but yeah, just a few too many mistakes. A couple of skew throws. Here, this is very, very smart play by the Dragons. I think Chris Henry takes the ball straight away instead of Kieran Treadwell holding on to it for a couple of seconds just to see what they're going to do. And of course, that's accidental offside, so it's a scrum to the Dragons.
We're talking about looking bonus point scores. To get bonus point scores, the fundamental basics of the game have to be done right. The linings have to be caught, the scrummaging has to be there, and that isn't happening at the present moment. So you can't throw the ball about trying to play Barbarian 7 drubby unless you've got the basics right, and that's probably what Les Kiss is saying in the change room.
It hasn't been perfect, but Ulster are looking comfortable and still in front. Now, the name Emily Valentine may not be a household name, but in women's rugby, it's a very important one. Niall Foster tells us why.
August 2017 sees Ireland host the Women's World Cup, with the semi-finals and final being played at the Kingspan Stadium. A 32-county tour of the trophy is currently underway, and this week it arrived in Fermanagh at Enniskillen Royal Grammar School, an amalgamation of Petora Royal School and Collegiate Grammar School. Down through the years, Petora has fostered famous playwrights and poets, but there's another significant name attached to the boys' school, Emily Valentine.
Where we're standing at the moment would have been where the rugby pitches were in the 1880s at Petora, when Emily Valentine's father was the deputy headmaster. And Emily Valentine is supposedly the first girl to have played rugby. It would have been right where we're standing that Emily may have stood that afternoon when there was a man short on the pitch and she was asked to come on and play. A lifetime ambition for her, and she actually managed to score a try. Obviously, it's been wonderful today to see the Women's Rugby World Cup come to school, to both of our sites, and in some ways to see women's rugby come home. I'm sure she would be delighted to know that young women in Enniskillen Royal Grammar School today are definitely on the pitch, and not only on the pitch, but winning.
Next stop for the much coveted trophy was Enniskillen Rugby Club, where the girls from Enniskillen Royal were taking part in a 6-school rugby blitz.
I train here on a Thursday night and there's a lot more girls coming down and, you know, wanting to try rugby out, so it's really good. Everyone's looking forward to the summer for the Women's World Cup to start, and hopefully it'll encourage a lot of girls to take up rugby and give it a go.
Racking up the miles with the trophy is Ireland out half Nora Stapleton. She is in no doubt that the popularity of the women's game is on the increase.
Now when people talk to me about rugby, and especially during the Six Nations, they're talking about the match that they saw at the weekend. They're not talking about, oh, you know, I know the women's team are doing well, but I haven't seen much about it, whereas it's completely different now with the matches obviously being on telly, and then the likes of the World Cup coming here, so people are watching the women's team play, and there are more and more kids coming out to rugby clubs to join.
The Irish women are now firmly focused on keeping the trophy in Ireland after the World Cup is over.
Really looking to just work on what we need to improve post Six Nations. We've got 3-4 really busy months ahead of us now. We're all pretty determined to put in as much work as possible to just improve ourselves and have no regrets going into that tournament.
Yes, the Women's Rugby World Cup coming to Ireland this summer. Ireland beaten by England for the Grand Slam just a couple of weeks ago. It's going to be a massive event this summer, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Me and Morris were actually down at the Irish Legends game, and the women were playing a couple of hours later on that evening, but unfortunately England got one over on them. But they've a good squad. The popularity is rising of the women's game year in, year out, and for the semi-final and final to be at the Kingspan Stadium just round the corner here in Belfast, it's massive for the country.
I hear Morris Field played the full 80 seconds of the Legends.
Multiple
of the Legends game anyway. Back to tonight, Morris. What do Ulster need to do second half just to take a grip of this game and make sure they can seal it out? Because whatever happens the second half, it looks like it's going to be a hard-fought battle on a very muddy pitch.
Just need to get their hands on the ball and retain possession. For most of the first half there, they were just playing off scraps. And the one time they did have possession, ball off the top of the line, they end up with a score. So if they do that, get to go through their phases and get their set pieces right, they've got the firepower out there to take this Gwent Dragons team to the cleaners. Yeah,
I suppose the Dragons have been pummelling the Ulster defence with no joy, and unless they can make a breakthrough, then that becomes slightly disheartening.
It does, and I would like to see Charles Piatow come off his wing. You know, even
haven't seen much.
No, we haven't seen much of him tonight. Just to take, if we do get some more possession in the second half, but you know that piece where Morris thought Ruan maybe should have taken 3 points. I think the message before the game was keep the tempo high. You know, take a quick tap now and again just to keep the Dragons lads on their toes. So I can understand what they were doing there, but then the kick away possession was a bit of a negative to come out of that. But get possession, let's get points, and let's put this Dragons team away.
Yeah, Ruan Pinar, when he did get his hands on the ball, was really controlling things first half.
And that's what he's a world-class scrum half, and he's zipping the ball out to runners come on. Now it's to identifying where the gaps are. At the moment, we're not creating too much. We need to identify where the spaces are in the Dragons fan, and within the next 5 or 10 minutes, the Dragons team will start to wilt.
Do you fancy the same thing to happen?
I do. And it's just about us getting the ball over. We'll keep repeating ourselves here, but it's just about getting the ball and getting our runners into the game. Vian Herbst is out. Just one thing to take out of the first half. Vian Herbst is out, and big Rodney Ayew. I'd like to see him get his hands on the ball as well. So get possession and get points.
And lay down a marker early. OK, Stephen, Morris, thank you very much indeed. Ulster are back out for the second half. The Dragons are on their way, and it's back to our commentary team. Rob Jones and Jim Neely.
No changes on the Ulster 15 that finished the first half, but remember Rodney Ayew came on in the middle of the first half for Vian Herbst, and no word through what the problem with Vian Herbst is. He's had a lot of problems with injury, not just this season, but on a fairly regular basis since he arrived from South Africa some 3 years ago. At the end of this season, as a special project player, he will be Irish qualified. Now there is the man celebrating his 200th cap, and he would love, absolutely love, if Lewis Evans could lead the Dragons to a victory. And there is Master Rodney Ayew, only 27 years of age, 3 Irish caps to his name. Referee Mike Adamson's happy enough that the Ulster skipper Rob Herring is ready to receive, and it's the Dragons outside half, Angus O'Brien, to get the second half underway, and he's given that a fair old belt. Gilroy. Sean Reedy accelerates into the tackle and gets across the 22. Oh, pick up by Kieran Treadwell. What a great turn of pace by Treadwell. My word, there's nothing quite like a big man in full flow, and he was both of those. Olding. That might work out nicely for Ulster, but the bounce was not kind enough for Luke Marshall, celebrating his 100th cap. Well, what about that, Rob? You would have got out of this fella's way. Would you have tackled this man?
I tell you what, well, he's getting away from Charlie Davis quite comfortably there. Great speed from the big second row. And he did it because he realised the situation. We mentioned Italy and what Italy did in terms of coming around, no tackle made, no offside law, and that's exactly what the Dragons tried to do there. And you pick up, you go, you drive through the middle. Kieran Treadwell showed a great pair of heels.
Charlie Davis found Charles Piatow, who found Jared Payne, who almost inevitably got past the first tackle. But Ulster in the front foot. Now it's Olding again into a little bit of space. There's a lot of space there, and Carl Meyer's going to have to be very quick, and he is quick enough, and he's been caught by Darren Cave, and the Ulster centre pushes him into touch, and Ulster on the front foot with the line out 10 metres from the Dragons line. Yeah, good bit of play by Ulster.
Yeah, good start, and again it's just a change of direction. I think that's just catching the back three of the Dragons out. I think they Both wingers are fairly flat, which obviously provides space for Olding and Pina, as we saw in the first half, and there again from Olding and Karl Meyer. Not quite sure whether he stays in the middle, whether he goes left, goes right. He's been caught out twice now.
Good take at the back by Henderson. Ulster shunt forward. Ball is at Pinar's feet. Looking for a big man to take it on. And Treadwell, who made that initial thrust, does take it on and make some decent ground. Now it's Pinar. Did he fumble that forward? Referee says yes, he did. Well, how often do you see Rob Pinar? What a combination that would be, Rob Jones and Ruan Pinar.
I'm slightly shorter than him, but no, I mean, you don't see him making many mistakes. I think just on an occasion, just lifting his head, not focusing on the ball.
Yeah, there was a leg actually stopped the ball from coming back cleanly.
Yeah,
that's where he overran it.
In fact, look, I think it might have been a Dragon's leg that just got over there and just did enough to get the knock on. But good start by Ulster, looking sharp.
Only try of the first half scored by Craig Gilroy. Conversion and penalty by Ruan Pinar to a penalty by Angus O'Brien for the Dragons. Here is Charlie Davis. Had a wee spell with Wasps as well, playing his 38th game for the Dragons. Better Ulster scrum. First time they've got anything resembling dominance. But it's back to Karl Meyer, and he has launched an absolute rocket, and he's got away well. He is a very, very accomplished player. This is his third season here at Rodney Parade. He's scored no fewer than 8 tries, and this is 53rd appearance for the Dragons. Very useful all-round player.
Yeah, he's solid. He's not the quickest thing in the world, and as I say, he's been caught out defensively, just positioning-wise, a couple of occasions tonight by both Olding and Ruan Pinar in the first half.
Quicker line-out by Ulster. George Prieto had to check a little bit. Pinar, Sean Reedy. Pinar again. Rodney Ayew first carry with the ball for the 20-stoner. He set it up nicely. Pinar nice and flat to Darren Cave, who read it so well. McCudd was in there. Rob Herring, Ulster's captain, got no change out of big Brock Harris.
Ollie Griffiths, good work. Great work at the breakdown.
So Ulster started off with a bit of a flurry, but they've made a couple of elementary errors, and they've given possession back to the Dragons, who no doubt will be looking for a little bit of territory through the boot of Angus O'Brien. Doing well for the Dragons. He scored over 230 points for them in the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, it's a neat kick. I'm just looking here at the work of Ollie Griffiths. Again, you want your 6s, your 7s over the ball, you know, pressurising the opposition at the breakdown. And
but the first ferocious tackle though was by the tight head Brock Harris, who's had a great game this evening. Here come the Dragons again. Oh, that's nicely done. They have a man over here. Didn't get it away, and they have got it away. This is great stuff by the Dragons. Little chip and chase. They need the bounce to be kind. Back goes Pinar. Olding is there as well. Was he in front of Pinar when he played the ball? I think he was, you know. And that's going to be a penalty to the Dragons. And what a fantastic counter-attack by the home side.
Yeah, great work, great hands. And I think we've mentioned Adam Hughes quite a bit tonight. He's been looking for work. He's not the biggest of players.
He's quick, mind you.
He's quick, he's strong, and he really does put his body on the line for the Dragons here. And I said it wasn't just, you know, when he got into space, he opened his legs, he got going. But that lovely little dink inside meant that the pressure was always going to be on Ruan Pinar to get across and try and do something. He said great hands by Meyer.
That was a wonderful offload, and that was a fantastic, that's almost like an old-fashioned cross kick. And Ulster just couldn't quite deal with it, gave away the penalty, and now they've conceded the line-out. Oh, thanks to good work by Adam Hughes. Great take at the line-out by the Dragons now. Are they good enough and strong enough to shunt Ulster back over their line for a try which will close the gap? And in goes Hughes just to add his weight to it. Ulster calling for men on that far side. Ruan Pinar saying, I need somebody over here. That's good defending by Ulster. Dragons still have the ball, and here they go for the line. They're very close. Good work by Ayew. Referee is insisting that Ulster get behind the try line. Dragons throwing everything into this one. Ulster's defence in the first half was pretty solid in similar situations, and they'll need to be doubly so here. Nick Cudd just takes a step backward as Crosswell tried to get the ball out. Landman leaves it for his skipper Lewis Evans. Ollie Griffiths yet again, who's had another good game. Oh, there are men over, they can get this away. Interception, and had Gilroy caught that, he was done and dusted and home and hosed, etc, etc. But he knocked it on, and it's a scrum to the Dragons. Right. Well, from almost a Dragons try to nearly an Ulster try.
Well, it's interesting. I think they're given a penalty here. Is this offside? Let's just have a listen.
Okay. Hey, Jim. Okay, just check for foul play.
Well, he's going up. Mike Adamson is going up to his fellow Scot, Jim Ewell. Check for foul play. By foul play, does he mean a deliberate knock-on?
I think he said deliberate knock-on, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
I mean, Gilroy almost got to that, didn't he? The reality is,
well,
if
it is a deliberate knock-on, and it is considered foul play, then it's going to be a yellow card as well as a penalty. I'm not sure. Well, he went for it with one hand. I'm not sure that is a deliberate knock-on. Oh, I think he tried to gather that.
Of course he tried to gather it.
You can't give that as a deliberate knock-on.
So well, any other decision other than a knock-on is ridiculous.
Oh, hang on. He's bringing them over.
This next one's probably the best angle, Mike.
Yeah, so I'm saying number 40, he's gone with one hand, so he's not in a realistic position to catch it.
Agreed.
But there's a defender outside, so there's no opportunity of a try.
Well, the referee is saying...
So number 40, I'm going to yellow card him.
He's going to yellow card Craig Gilroy. He's saying he wasn't in a realistic position to catch it.
It's a deliberate knock-on. It's a deliberate knock-on.
Well, that could change things.
It could change things.
There's a defender outside, so there's no...
You know, we saw the laws at the Six Nations last week out in France, where, you know, it causes so much confusion and what have you. There was nothing wrong with that. And
well, Kirk Gilroy knows that, and he's shaking his head, so needless to say he's disagreed with the ruling of both Mike Adamson and the TMO, his fellow Scotsman Jim Ewell. And Dragons going for the corner and going for the try.
Well, he was a fraction away from an interception and a try the other end of the ground. When he said you go with one hand, well, if the opportunity is there just to put your hand out and juggle it and take it, then you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the player who's trying to attack.
Knocked back on the Dragons side, but swept up by Brock Harris. Dragons looking for men on the narrow side. Here goes Reynard Lindman. He's over. As he got over the line, he's made two movements, but the second one was quite legal, and he's got the try, and that's closed the gap to 2 points with a conversion to come. And the Dragons have taken full advantage of the rather controversial decision to put Craig Gilroy in the sin bin.
Well, it's controversial, but the Dragons have to do what they can in order to win this game, and they've taken advantage of that, exactly as you said. Just in terms of numbers, insufficient numbers, defending on the right-hand side for Ulster. That ball perhaps should have gone from Landman, but he makes the decision to go himself, drive himself. Just two defenders, two forwards on the left-hand side. Landman, Angus O'Brien, and Pridey outside him, but he goes in on himself, has the power to get across. And he said it's important that for the Dragons, they do take advantage of this.
Yeah, Brock Harris has had a very good game. He's done a lot of tackling, and he tidied that ball up, and he made the initial thrust, which allowed his fellow South African to make that final break. He was down there. He's allowed to make a second movement because he wasn't held, and he did stretch, and he's got the try and the conversion to come. And this might be another very difficult evening in Newport for this Ulster side, and that has been struck very nicely between the posts by Angus O'Brien, and we are back to a level game. It's 10 apiece.
Well, interesting, very interesting. I said controversial in many ways, I think that decision was, but it's allowed the Dragons, who in fairness have played well, have put pressure on Ulster to get back in the game, and maybe a couple of changes. Paddy Wallace, of course.
Paddy Jackson,
sorry, on at 10.
Yeah, Paddy Wallace would love to be still playing, I'm sure. Oh, well taken by Lindman, who set it up. Ulster trying to squeeze the Dragons across that touchline and force the line out. So Paddy Jackson off the bench. I can't honestly remember the last time that ever happened. He's on way number 22. Payne. That was bounced awkwardly for Ulster and nicely for the Dragons. Well tidied in by their hooker Rhys Buckley, but Ulster have nabbed it. Henderson into the try scorer Lindemann. Henderson, the try scorer against England at Lansdowne Road, the Viva Stadium last week. Ulster, though, forced back into their own half. Pienaar. Jackson. That's a very testing kick, but well met by Karl Meyer. Gets tackled by Jared Payne. Good cleaning out of the breakdown by the Dragons. Charlie Davis gets it away. Lewis Evans. Here's O'Brien. Knocked backward, I think, by Charles Pietard. Referee agrees. Crowd don't need us to say. Pietard gets away from a couple of tackles. Alan O'Connor has got to get the ball back, and he just about manages to. Pienaar. Ayew. Back inside. Better stuff. Here's Paddy Jackson. Pienaar again. Stuart Olding still on the field. Darren Cave is the man who's gone off, methinks. Pienaar. Ayew again. Ran away from the support, however. But again, he set it up nicely. Nick Crosswell not exactly quick to get away from it. Now it's the Dragons' turn to defend well. Pienaar scoops it away. Jackson, shirt dirty already. An aggressive thump that was by Charles Pietard. Here's Henderson.
Release back!
Really had a chance to stretch those big legs of his. Olding. Better stuff by Ulster. Paddy Jackson on that touchline side. Nobody at outside half. Henderson takes it on. Dragons defending furiously.
There's been contact with you. Doesn't matter.
Penalty against the Dragons. Ulster, I'm sure, will go for the corner, Robert.
Well, I think they will. It's a bit long for Pienaar or Jackson to go for goal. But again, Jackson straight into the game and dictating matters from 10. Perhaps a little bit more sort of involved than Olding beforehand, naturally, because a natural 10 playing alongside a guy he knows very well in Pienaar.
Well, Ulster need to do something here, because coming away from here with anything other than a win or draw will be no good to them. A draw here, I would say, would almost surely make sure that they don't finish in the top 4, which is hanging in the balance. I'm not quite sure what's happening at Parky Scarlets in terms of the Scarlets-Edinburgh game. Meanwhile, Ulster win the line-out. Well done by Alan O'Connor. And again, cleverly, the Dragons don't commit. But still Ulster driving forward. Referee has called for a maul. Rob Herring has it in there. Ulster really could do with a try here, and they're shunting forward. They're only about 5 metres away, and the Dragons have defended well.
They got a penalty.
The ball is back on the Ulster side, and the referee, Mike Adamson, does have his hand out for a penalty. Pienaar with the switch. That's well done to Pietard, who's well shackled. Andy Warwick helps him out, and they'll come back for the penalty.
Side entry. Number 5 swimming around the ball.
And the man who scored the try, Rainer Lindman, has been found guilty of something naughty.
I think side entry. So what they do now, do they continue to go for the corner, just grind them down from the lineouts, the driving lineouts? Again, good work but initially by the Dragons, standing off the lineout, but the ball being in the front. When the tackle was made, he went to ground, and Ulster did well actually to reset them all and get that going forward.
Okay, there's your mark.
Ulster still with
Get the timing of the sack right, lads.
14 men. Craig Gilroy just went halfway through his sin binning period. Andy Warwick passes on the line-out call to his skipper. A lot of dampness in the air here in Newport.
They're on the side.
Don't think Ulster have taken anybody out of the line-out. Doesn't look like it. Reedy in the scrum half position. Good take at the back by Chris Henry, who was hoisted high. Now here go Ulster yet again. And again the Dragons dig in and try to deny them that straightforward route to the line. Down they go. Pienaar. Henderson. Taken by Karl Meyer. A good assist by Rodney Ayew. Henderson still in possession. Now it's Pienaar. Chris Henry doing a bit of pirouetting. Quicker ball by Ulster. Kieran Treadwell. Pienaar again. Again, Ulster get the penalty. Dragons got themselves offside. Crowd not happy with that decision by Scots referee Mike Adamson.
This will be an interesting decision now, just based on where they are. Now they go for
the line out, I think.
Again. Yeah.
Well, if you looked on the starting lineups and indeed the replacements panel, Ulster had 11 internationals on their starting lineup and 4 more on the bench. The Dragons had 2 and 1. So it didn't look like much of a contest, but the Dragons have made light of all that.
Well, they have.
Games aren't won on paper, Rob, are they?
No, absolutely not. And I said they've always competed well. They've tend to fallen away towards the end of the game, but you know, at the moment the Dragons are stepping up to the mark and putting in a real shift.
On the 5, hold the gap.
Referee Mike Adamson insisting that there's a gap of a metre between the respective players at the lineout. Herring with the throw, stolen. Herring managed, I think, to sweep it up. That was good work by the Ulster skipper after an iffy throw. Pienaar gets it to Rodney Ayew, who rumbles for the line, ball in one hand, reminiscent of Nick Williams. Now it's Pienaar, and it's knocked forward. A lot of congestion in the middle of the park. I really thought it was going to be difficult for Pienaar to thread his pass through.
Yeah, again, there was a number of options that Pienaar had. Probably 5 or 6 players. Yeah, the ball, I mean, he was in the clear, there's no doubt. Cyril would have gone across there comfortably.
It's finished 26-10 to the Scarlets, so nothing scored by them in the second half, or no score in the second half. But Scarlets have got the bonus points. That's 5 points, and at the moment they've moved a point ahead of Ulster, but this game is by no means over. In fact, if it stays a draw, Ulster will get the 2 points, so they would just stay ahead and no more. But Ulster can't afford to get anything other than a win here. It looks as if Sam Hobbs is going off. Bit of a neck problem, which is the last thing you want if you're a prop forward.
Yeah.
And on is going to come Phil Price.
Yes, it's it'll be interesting now. Another line out.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, no, it's a scrum, but it's a scrum to the Dragons, but I've got no doubt. Let's just have a look, actually, is it?
Yes, it is. I think it was a knock forward by Ulster. Or maybe there's a knock forward by the Dragons.
Yeah, it looks like there was an initial knock on by the Dragons.
And it's an Ulster scrum. Well, that's interesting. Paddy Jackson standing directly behind the cleanest of jerseys and shorts. Is he going to think of a little sortie in the narrow side? Remember, there's no Craig Gilroy, the right wing. Jackson might well come into the equation here. Ulster, if they can get a good shove on the right-hand side, might just allow Ruan Pienaar to do something this side of the touchline. Scrum's important.
Let's keep it up. Let's use it. Ball station at 8.
Referee saying let's use it. Jackson has come in field, then changes his mind. Olding, very strong. Got up to the gain line. Pienaar on the narrow side. Taken on well by Alan O'Connor. Terrific Dragons defence. Ulster's second row getting no purchase whatsoever. Payne couldn't quite get it away to Jackson. Referee tells him to release it, and he does. Pienaar. Ayew manhandled yet again.
A great defence.
Pienaar got it right well. Henderson low and good driving position, and again it's Brock Harris does the tackling. Jackson, Olding back inside. Beautiful stuff by Jared Payne. Second game in a row he's come in from nowhere at fullback, and he just ghosts in between defenders, and he's touched it down. Now they may go upstairs for a little look. Was it a forward pass? Was it obstruction?
I think the obstruction. I think it was the Dragons players were suggesting that there was some obstruction. I mean, if it wasn't, that was a huge hole.
Well, let's have a look at this.
To go through.
That was Henderson moving forward. Now he set it up nicely. Pienaar. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
That doesn't. I mean, there's a couple of Dragons players, hands in the air.
This is a tighter angle. Henderson head down, made the ground. Harris with the tackle. It's at this point, Jackson. Where was the obstruction?
Well, they're looking at Treadwell, but has Treadwell taken anyone out? That ball's gone already.
Well, he's just run straight.
That's the best angle, Mike.
Well, he hasn't taken anyone out.
He made contact with Nick Cudd, though.
No,
and that's why
I
Nick
think
Cudd's
he was
got his
well
hands up.
clear of that, so there's no clear and obvious obstruction.
Yeah, Jim Yule saying there's no clear and obvious obstruction,
Correct.
so Mike Adamson at liberty to award the try to Ulster, and they'll be relieved with that.
He's gone a long way away, isn't he? For
Try's been awarded.
yeah, well worked.
Try for Payne. Conversion from Pinar.
And again, some great defensive work initially by the Dragons. They're making their first-time hits. You know, they're taking the Dragon attackers backwards, but then it's just composure. And when you've got someone like Pinar, who's relaxed and composed at the base, calling the shots, it makes such a difference.
Gathered in by Reedy from Angus O'Brien's restart. Pinar. Jackson had to stretch and is holding in what they call the second 5/8 position. O'Brien. That's a good kick. Jared Payne.
White hold, night.
Saw a bit of a gap down there, but it's been well filled by O'Brien. But he's outside his 22, so he can't put it directly into touch, and he doesn't. Jackson stretches. Look at him looking to see what's available.
That's a great
And
kick.
he's hit that beautifully, Paddy Jackson. Well, that is the best kick out of hand of the evening, Rob, I would venture to say.
Well, I mean, it was just a great kick. Again, realising where the space is. He looked up. He connected beautifully. He put exactly where he wanted to. You've got Lewis Evans there, who's not the quickest on the field. He was going to struggle to get back for that. And when you're in an aerial battle between the two 10s, on that occasion, no doubt Paddy Jackson came out on top.
Clive Ross has come on to play in the back row, which means Ian Henderson will almost certainly go into the second row. Almost a good challenge by Ulster. Landman got it the second bite, and Henderson holds him up. Likewise, Rob Herring and Mel. Well, he got caught round the neck there, but everybody down below happy.
Inside.
Good pressure being put on, and that is inside the 22, and Craig Gilroy is back on the field, and Ulster, although they're just about, well, just inside their own half, they will have to throw into the line-out.
Yeah, decent clearance there by Charlie Davis. So we're just about inside the 22. The ball wasn't taken back, so quite in his rights to kick that ball straight out, and he's getting some 25-30 metres.
Another change by Ulster. Andrew Warwick is coming off, and the man with whom he's been playing box and cocks for most of this season and the past couple of seasons, Callum Black, wearing number 17, is coming on for Ulster for his 125th Ulster appearance, which is pretty impressive. Ulster line out, bit untidy. Pinar won't thank anybody for that. Neither will Gilroy for that one. Gets away from Landman, but Ulster conceded some 15 metres. They have to make that up again. Pinar. Callum Black straight into action. Runs into Lewis Evans.
Just a tackle.
Pinar. Across comes Tom Pridey. Terrific take by the wing three-quarter. Gets away from the first tackler. Important that the gain line is breached, and it was. Well, this is good work by the Dragons yet again. And it's Adam Hughes who helped set up their try. O'Brien. There's a lot of zip in this back line. Tom Pridey bounces around Pinar. Charlie Davis. Rhys Buckley tries to get underneath Callum Black. That's overcooked. Just a wee bit too much on it, Rob.
Yeah, again, all the good build-up work gets ruined with an error. You know, some good work, some good driving play. Pridey getting involved, beating off, bouncing off defenders, but we're making those hard yards. And in fairness, the ball has been delivered quickly. Charlie Davis got away quickly, but then 6 or 7 phases in, and the ball gets kicked away, or there's an error and it's turnover ball, and you just can't get sufficient momentum in their play to sort of make a difference. You know, they performed really well And as the scoreline suggests, probably not quite well enough.
Rob Herring. That's pretty hopeless. Dragons' replacement, Harrison Keddy, has come on. Ulster have got to be sharp in their tackling, because the Dragons by no means finished, and there's still plenty of time for them to do what they did, and that's get themselves back on level terms. Oh, Carl Meyer dances through some pretty awful Ulster tackling, and the Dragons still going into the Ulster 22. They have men on the far side if they can shift it. Good work by Tyler Morgan, who's been very busy. Likewise, Charlie Davis. Ulster have to keep hands out of it. Dragons going forward and making Ulster tackle. Good pressure from the home side. Again, it's Keddy, the replacement. Davis looking for a wee gap on his own.
Ulster player down as well. I think Ruan Pereira's taken a bump.
Ball has gone loose. Ulster have come through. Well scooped up by the Dragons. There's a great chance here. Ulster down to 14 men at the moment. It is Ruan Pereira, I'm pretty sure. Well, nicely away by the Dragons on the narrow side. Good Ulster defending there through Paddy Jackson. And here come the Dragons. By no means finished. It's the excellent Harris sets it up. Davis telegraphed to go to the narrow side rather. And again it's Adam Hughes, all muscle and aggression. Luke Marshall completely hustled out of it. Not much room on that far side there. Good tackling by Ulster, trying to squeeze the Dragons into touch if they can. And the Dragons have kept the ball alive, and Ulster rucking. But Dragons, I think, have got it back. Keddy once again. Lewis Evans, who's led from the front. Still there. Charlie Davis, Rhys Buckley for the Dragons. Tackled by Sean Reedy.
Too close to an injured player on the floor. Too close.
Well, they've stopped, and there's an injury, and it is Ruan Pereira. And, well, everything seems to be moving, so I don't know quite what happened to him, Rob. I didn't see.
No, I think he got up and then he sort of slowly went back down. It didn't look as if he'd taken a bump to the head or anything, but I think that's where the concern is. Or they're just, you know, protecting him on the field. He's sitting up right now, which is good news. But again,
Paul Marshall has come straight on. He's got a bit of a bang to the face. There's a bit of blood there, and Gareth Robinson, the Ulster senior physio, and Michael Webb, the Ulster senior medical officer, are on. He's taken a bit of a thump. He looks a little bit groggy, so Ruan Pereira will have to go off.
Yeah,
because Paul Marshall is on.
Yeah, HIA, no matter what. It took, I think it was the tackle here on Carl Mayer. He had to make a hit. He held onto his boot and maybe just caught.
I think it was the boot caught him in the face as he slid down Mayer's leg. I think this is another look at it. He did go in with a tackle, and he caught the boot in the face. So it's not going to be anything too serious. He has a couple of weeks before the visit of the Cardiff Blues. He's looking back thinking maybe I should have stayed on, but the decision had been made to take him off.
Back on. Lads.
Yeah, he's just going into the changing room. So Paul Marshall's on. But Dragons are making a fist of this.
Dragons have brought on Cyril Pretorius. So one South African scrum half goes off and another one comes on. Pretorius never quite achieved the heights that Ruan Pereira did in terms of international recognition, but he's been a very good player here for the Dragons, and a lot of people were surprised that he didn't get starting this one.
Yeah, he's been quite consistent in fairness to him. Very sharp.
52nd appearance for the Dragons, and he's scored no fewer than 11 tries. Decent scrum by the Dragons, and this is Pretorius, and he's found a bit of a gap, and that's bad tackling by Ulster. Dragons looking to square this game up. A try here and a conversion could end Ulster's top four hopes with a vengeance. They came back before when Ulster were down to 14 men. Can they do it again with Ulster back to 15? Pretorius at the base of everything. He's going to have a go again. Good tackle by Stuart Olding. Lewis Evans has to deputise his scrum half, but has a go himself. Terrific work in defence by Ulster. Chris Henry coming through. Here come the Dragons again. And once again it's Ollie Griffith who's been busy. Great angle, good defending there by Ulster in the middle of the park. They're right underneath their own posts. Rhys Buckley, Pretorius. Little dummy by Angus O'Brien. Tackled by Ulster's replacement, Clive Ross. Dragons get it back again. Again, good defending by Stuart Olding. And Ulster have stolen that. Great steal. Here goes Treadwell. Nothing too brave from him here now. He needs to just settle the ball and get it back. And Ulster have to clear it. Paul Marshall looking outside him. Oh, he's got it charged on. And I think there's a dive there. That may be a try for Ollie Griffiths. I think he's got it. Marshall waited that fraction of a second too long. The Dragons pounced, and Mike Adamson's going upstairs.
It looks certainly for me that he got there. He said it took too much time. Good work. Great work at the breakdown by Chris Henry to get that turnover. It looked all very comfortable then. They've turned over possession. Just clear your lines, get the ball down the park. But in fairness to Dragons, keep the pressure on. New scrum half, keep the pressure on him. He's right-footed. And Ollie Griffiths, who's had a great game, in fairness to him, he's just looking there, waiting. And as soon as that ball's picked up by Paul Marshall, here he comes. As he got there, I think he's got there. I don't know whether he got the downward pressure.
Well,
we need to see that.
Ulster tried to put a foot in. There was good work done there at the breakdown by Ulster, but they didn't get it away. Marshall had men behind him, decided to go itself. There was the charge down. Ooh.
Well, he was first there, but whether he got sufficient downward pressure,
I'm not altogether sure that he did.
So I can watch the screen.
Right, let's have a look at this. There's the ball. Let's just slow it right down.
Oh, did he? Good Paddy Jackson's boot, just doing it.
Last angle, Mike.
Did his right hand get to it? This is the last angle requested by TMO Jim Ewell to inform his fellow Scot Mike Adamson, the referee, as to whether or not the ball has been touched down. It is a proper contact and the try has been given. It was Griffith who did the charging down.
From that angle, it looked as if he had.
Mike, I have a decision.
Here's the decision.
You may award the try.
Oh, the try's been awarded. The try's been awarded. And Ulster, well, really only themselves to blame. The Dragons, well, within a conversion of levelling up this game and making Ulster's season that little bit more difficult. They always have had trouble here, and tonight, Rob, has been no exception.
No, it's been a great display by the Dragons. I don't think Ulster have been at their best, but the Dragons have worked hard, worked their socks off. I spoke about workmen like back row, and all three have put a shift in this afternoon, this evening, and Ollie Griffiths rewarded with that.
Big kick this for Angus O'Brien. That's a belter. What a very good kick. And we're back again on level terms. It was 10-3 at the interval to Ulster, then it was 10-10, then 17-10. Back came the Dragons, and they pulled it back to even Steven with not that long to go. Jackson with the restart.
And again, that's typical, an error straight from the kickoff. When Kingsley Jones would have wanted, it's all about the exit strategy, get the ball back down the park, put pressure on Ulster in their own half immediately from the kickoff and knock on.
You know, Robert, and if you look at the size that the Dragons have played recently, they shipped a whole pile of points to Munster, they shipped a huge amount of points to Leinster and also to Glasgow, and everybody thought looking at this Ulster team would be the same story. Ulster, more than any of the other Irish provinces, have always had trouble here with the Dragons.
Yeah, it's been, no doubt it's a bit of a bogey ground for them, but and in fairness, you know, the Dragons through the years have been a difficult side to beat here at Rodney Parade, but you know, this year has been disappointing. They haven't reached, you know, the competitive heights that they would have liked here at their home ground. But tonight, after a break, and they said they needed a break, they were mentally tired, and they looked physically and mentally up for it this evening.
No real stars in this Dragons side, but it's a terrific team effort, terrific squad effort. Time not on Ulster's side. Paul Marshall, Paddy Jackson, Stuart Olding, a little bit telegraphed. Marshall again. Luke Marshall would love to celebrate his 100th Ulster appearance with a victory. Dragons with men in the way there. Paul Marshall. Ulster trying to create a little bit of space through their forwards. Paul Marshall again. Rob Herring in the outside half position. Jared Payne in the middle of all of that. Here goes Kieran Treadwell. And Brock Harris just hangs on to him and brings the big fella down. Only 21 years of age, remember Treadwell. Decent prospect. Referee blows the whistle.
There's another injury there, I think.
I think somebody's down hurt. Is it Treadwell? No, it's not. It's not Rodney Ayew either. It's hard to see who just that is.
Three.
It's not Treadwell. Might be Sean Reedy.
Yeah, it could be Sean Reedy. I think you might be right.
How long,
Taking a
Jim?
bump.
Just hard to see. Not sure who the last man in there was.
Yeah, it must be Sean Reedy. I can't see him standing anywhere. Brock Harris just going off.
Yeah, huge round of applause for him. I think he's been absolutely outstanding.
It's the best game I've seen Brock Harris play for the Dragons since he's been here, because it's all tonight about work rate. I mean, he's put in a great defensive effort, made tackle after tackle, and has probably ball carried more than I've seen him before, and effectively as well. He's made yards, he's made ground.
Lloyd Fairbrother, the replacement tight head prop, was on. I'm wondering, does he use the same tonsorial advisor as Joe Marner from England, who has his own peculiar hairstyles?
Yeah, that's a little bit different.
You see, the Ulster player in question is up. In fact, it's Chris Henry. Looks a little bit on the wobbly side. Ulster still got Robbie Dyack to come on, but I don't think Chris Henry's going to go off at this stage.
No, I think he's just taking a bump as a...
Same stability, lads. It's fine.
Robbie Dyer could come on at some stage, though, I'm sure.
Well, it's an Ulster scrummage, and they're in a very good position, and they've got 15 men on the park, and they desperately need to score a try to win this game.
Set. Hold.
Because remember, the Scarlets, who were 4 points behind them, have got their 5 points. So at the moment, Scarlets are looking the better of the two. Marshall. Payne gets it away well. What a great thumping tackle that was. Paul Marshall digs it out. Ian Henderson's managed to slip the ball away. Ulster on the front foot. That was good work once again by Sean Reedy. Rodney Ayew squeezes it back. Marshall, clever little pass. Now it's Olding. Little chip kick through that could be gathered, and it's not gathered by Ulster. It's gathered by the Scarlets, and that was, or the Scarlets, the Dragons, I should say. That was taken in well by Tom Priddy, who's had an excellent game. Ulster battling on the ground, but back through Cyril Pretorius, the Dragons' replacement scrum half, and in he goes again. And again, Ulster giving second best at the breakdown.
Leave him.
Jared Payne not happy being held in. And that's been cleared, but not by very much. Well, time's running out for Ulster.
Yeah, it's good pressure by Ulster just to keep the Dragons pinned in his half. Great work by Tom Priddy. Had he not gathered that, that was an Ulster score.
7.
He committed himself, he got the ball, and good work, great defensive work.
You know, Robbie Dyack has come on for Ulster, who are bringing on some of the biggish guns. Chris Henry is going off, so Robbie Dyack wearing number 19.
Hold him. Lads, the line out is
fast approaching 200 caps into the final 10 minutes of this game.
Keep the gap.
Still time for Ulster, but the Dragons would say there's still time for them to win the game. It's an Ulster line out. They have to win this one, and they have done. Marshall, Paddy Jackson, Luke Marshall gets across the 22. Ulster on the front foot. Paul Marshall again. Henderson, little slip pass to Sean Reedy. Marshall, Jackson tries to squeeze through. Lindemann all over him. Well taken by Ulster and by Sean Reedy. Good tackle by Rhys Buckley, the Dragons hooker. Marshall, good switch. Gilroy. Paddy Jackson.
Tackle, release!
Taking the ball into contact.
Hold. No.
Rodney Ayew. It's a ferocious pair of handoffs. Good work by Dyack. All the pressure coming from Ulster. Now it's Clive Ross.
Tackle.
Assisted by Treadwell. Paul Marshall. Gilroy very nearly through for a second try. Ulster desperate now to close this game out. Rodney Ayew has another go. He's come into this game in the last half hour or so. Callum Black, another replacement prop.
Leave the line.
The crowd getting behind the Dragons. Paddy Jackson. Piatau. Still there for Piatau. The word, he's a hard man to hold.
Release.
But the Dragons have done well. Paul Marshall. Henderson trying to keep the body low to the ground. Gets it back.
No.
Dragons hand in the way. Good little slip pass by Ayew to Robbie Dyack, his fellow replacement. So I thought the Dragons had won it. Referees played advantage to Ulster. Still there for Paul Marshall. Little chip and chase by Marshall. He's overcooked it, but they'll come back for the penalty. Now, what do Ulster do here, Rob? If they want to win this game, they've got to take the 3 points, surely.
Yeah, they have to. They have to try and win this game first and foremost. I don't think there shouldn't be much discussion here. It should be Paddy Jackson, go for goal, which he's just indicated. That was great defensive work again by the Dragons.
7.
I don't think I've seen the Dragons play this well for quite some time. I said there was a lot of talk over the last couple of days about the fact they were very mentally tired. Finished the last game, I think it was March the 4th. They needed a break, a proper break. They needed to get away. And they've come back after 2 or 3 weeks and they look refreshed, they look sharp, full of energy.
Yeah, they conceded 101 points in their 2 previous games to this one. Paddy Jackson now on. No mistake from the Irish international outside half, and Ulster back in the lead once again, albeit by the slenderest of margins. It's Dragons 17 and Ulster 20, and with 5 or 6 minutes remaining, Rob.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting end. I don't think the Dragons are going to lie down here. They are going to put everything into this last few minutes of the game.
Rob Herring has gone off for Ulster, and on is John Andrew, who scored his first Ulster try last time out in Belfast against Zebra. Paul Marshall.
Tackle.
Stuart Olding takes it forward for Ulster.
Back feet.
I tell you what, Kieran Treadwell's done well today as well.
Yes, he has.
He's worked hard. He's carried.
Paul Marshall gets the kick in, and it's a good kick, but it's taken by Adam Hughes, who's caused the Ulster defence an awful lot of problems tonight. Pretorius. Dragons will have to run it from here. Ulster need a few more men out wide. That's been knocked forward by the Dragons. Referee says that's I think an illegal tackle by Ulster. There might have been a shoulder has gone in, and it could be another yellow card. I don't think, well, was it deliberate? We'll have to have another look at that, but the man went down like a sack of spuds, and I thought there was a shoulder went in as opposed to the arms. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, it almost looked as if the dummy is going to be taken there by Piatau.
Yes, Mike.
And when, if you think of it that way, well, perhaps was he going to make the tackle? If that's the case, did he run into him? Did he hit his shoulder, or was it a shoulder charge?
For a no arms tackle.
Yeah.
It's Rodney Ayew, I think, the man who's in trouble for a no arms tackle.
Yeah.
Referee is going to go right up to the far end of the ground here. Well, did he leave the shoulder behind deliberately? It looks very much like it, and that could be a yellow card for Rodney Ayew, who's never too far from a bit of controversy. There is the dummy, and Ayew might argue that he was running across the man to try to make a tackle, but look at that.
Okay, Jim, I've got no arm tackle.
Agreed, he's body checked him, Mike.
Yeah.
That's if
What's the contact with the shoulder?
Jim Yule is saying that he's body checked him.
No, I think it's to his shoulder. Well, here's a better one.
Jim, for me that is directly to the head with the shoulder.
Okay, let's see if we get a better angle.
That's directly to the head with the shoulder. Mike Adamson's determined to say, and has said, and that might be a red card. And here's another angle. Well, that was the left shoulder came up underneath the chin.
The best angle, Mike.
That might be a red card.
Okay.
That's got to be a red card.
That was shoulder on that angle, yes.
Yeah, so it's a no-arm tackle. The shoulder makes direct contact to the head.
Correct.
For me, that's a red card.
Agreed.
It is going to be a red card. And having lost Craig Gilroy to a very dubious decision, the referee and his TMO are in complete agreement that that's a direct contact, shoulder to the head,
okay, so what we've
and
got
that's a red card against Rodney Ayew.
Contact to the head.
Paddy Jackson has taken over the Ulster captaincy, so off goes Rodney Ayew. So Ulster 3 points up, and once again down to 14 men.
I think that he's actually got it right there. The more I look at it, I think initially I thought it was just one of those incidents where he almost took the dummy, but being so close to him, Carl Mayer, he caught the shoulder that I think he just held on long enough to make contact. Maybe not deliberately to the head, but ultimately that's where it ended up. And
well, just a few minutes remaining, and the Dragons very much back in the driving seat. They're trailing by 3 points, and Ulster are really going to be tested. They wanted to come away with a win. They're hanging on to the win.
You hold your mat.
And any thoughts of a bonus point, I think have long since gone out the window for Ulster. That's a good steal by Ulster. Callum Black tidies it up after Ian Henderson got the all-important fingertip to it. The most important set piece of the day from Ulster point of view. Paul Marshall kicks. There's a bit of obstruction there by Pretorius. Well taken though by Ulster. Referee says it was knocked forward, playing advantage. Marshall cleverly into a wee bit of space. Needs that bounce to be kind. O'Brien goes back. He's got Treadwell on top of him. They'll have to run it from here. And they have run it from here. Well, who said Karl Mayer didn't have a lot of pace? My word, he's done well. That was good work by Stuart Olding. Dragons inside their 22, which is where Ulster want them to be. And that hasn't found touch. Don't think it was meant to anyway. Well, Ulster dithering a wee bit, well pulled in by Paddy Jackson. He has got Payne with him, and Payne's got Gilroy outside him. And now Gilroy inside him. And Gilroy tackled by Fairbrother. Ian Henderson, who's come more and more into this game. Marshall.
Let's just run the clock down stuff now.
Robbie Dyack. Looked like a high tackle there on Dyack. But Mike Adamson was closer. Jackson. Piatow. Always makes a decent bit of ground. Marshall. Men over. Stuart Olding did it well. High tackle there. I don't think it's anything other than a penalty. We shall wait and see. It's all getting a wee bit fractious out there, and Ulster have got the penalty.
Again, nothing malicious or deliberate, but it was high, and any contact to anything above the shoulders.
Sam Beard, the offending player.
Interesting, going for the corner. I thought perhaps it was just a case run the clock down, keep the scoreboard ticking over.
Ulster taking a bit of a chance, but Jackson has kicked that quite perfectly, and he's got within 6 meters of the Dragons' line. Well, I suppose the theory being that if they get a quick try and they get the kick off, and they might get another try. Stuart Olding was definitely taken a tad high by Sam Beard, although there wasn't a lot of force in it.
That's right, time's still off. Just hold them down. Time's off, lads. Yeah, just over 2. Just over 2.
All right, just over 2 minutes.
Just 2 minutes remaining. Bit of an injury to a Dragons player.
Making a change.
I think they just brought on Jacob Stockdale.
Yeah,
Jacob Stockdale quite happy to play just about anywhere behind the scrum. Prefers to play 13, but he's with Tommy Seymour of the Glasgow Warriors and Joey Carberry of Leinster. He's the top try scorer in the league this year with 8 tries. You've not seen this young man before, Rob?
I'm not sure. I think I saw him down at the Scarlets earlier on in the season. Well, he did look sharp, and he's a big man, isn't he? You know, he's
Hold on,
about
lads, don't
6'3",
make changes.
6'4".
11's coming off.
On comes Darren Harris, replacement hooker for the Dragons. Stockdale is on. Not altogether sure where he's
Lads, we're still
playing.
making changes. Time's still off. 15 Dragons.
Dragons making a couple of changes. Carl Meyer has gone off, and the Dragons have brought on Dorian Jones and Adam Warren, who was on earlier.
On the line.
Tom Pridey's gone off as well, but he looked to be struggling behind.
There is number 23, Jacob
Dragons
Stockdale.
on the 5 metre, please.
Well, the clock ticking away. The Ulster's last chance of another try, just to copper fasten a hard-earned and, well, just about deserved victory here. That's good take at the line out by Robbie Dyack, and in goes John Andrew looking for a second try in successive weeks. This is a good drive by Ulster. Andrew's got it tucked in. He's a strong, sensible young man. They're holding on. In goes Stockdale to help.
Change of mind, 20.
Andrew shunting forward. Paul Marshall urging them to go forward, but the Dragons have dug in. The referee says that's once, and Mike Adamson runs round to see if Ulster are over the line, and they are over the line, and that's the third try for Ulster. They've left it very, very late. And I think it's maybe even John Andrew has got another one.
1.5.
Justifies the decision of Paddy Jackson to go for the corner. And I said just over, I think it's a minute and a half to go, the referee has just said. So time to receive the kick-off, build some more play, phase play, and just get that bonus point, which looked almost
there might
just
be some time for the restart. Paddy Jackson kicks and converts very nicely. So Ulster 10 points ahead. They're not going to lose this game, but the question now is, can they keep possession from the restart and get back and get a bonus point try, which for a long time looked way beyond the reach.
Well, no, it did, certainly did. But I think you know, here's it's the last opportunity, isn't it? We need to gather and then build.
Give me a countdown, Jim.
Taken in by Gilroy.
Okay.
Sean Reedy. Paul Marshall gets it away. Jackson, Andrew, the try scorer. Robbie Dyack. Not the greatest pass in the world. Here goes Andrew. At a centre three-quarters pace and a front row forward strength. Jackson. Dyack again. There goes Stockdale. Didn't get too far, but he set it up nicely.
No, out there.
Fairbrother's light years offside. Referee playing on Jackson.
From your back foot.
Gilroy needs to give this, does give it. Good work by Reedy. Very nearly got away from man of the match. Reynard Landman, the Dragons' second row forward and the erstwhile skipper. Here goes Jackson. Marshall. Knocked down by Ulster. That's a knock-on. Well, a horrible pass there, and even the adroit Jared Payne could do nothing about it. A little bit of nonsense breaks out now. It's been a pretty decent game, and we don't want to spoil by unnecessary fisticuffs.
There we go. Anything there, Sam?
I don't think
Jim,
there's
that's
anything.
Time up.
There's lots of tap in.
The referee says there was a knock-on, and that is time up. And somehow Ulster have come back and have managed to come away with 4 points. Not the 5 points they would expect, and not the 5 points that everybody thought they would get. So in the final analysis, another point drop for Ulster. But I guess, Rob, to come here at a ground which has not been a happy hunting ground and get the win was all that matters.
Well, I think that's first and foremost. You come here to get the result. Bonus point is always an advantage, especially when you're competing against the likes of the Scarlets for the top four. But they've got to win. It was an ugly win. It wasn't Ulster at their best, and they were up against the Dragons side, who in fairness probably put in one of their best performances of the season.
Is this Ulster performance good enough to trouble the teams above them, like the Munsters and the Leinsters and the Ospreys of this world?
I think realistically no, but when it comes to playoff rugby, and you know, if they are fortunate to get into that top four, then you know, things change. Anything can happen. The quality of the squad is good enough. Their performances aren't quite at that level at the moment, and you have a number of teams, Leinster and Munster in particular, the Ospreys as well, who are really performing well at the moment.
Thank you, Rob. Always good to talk to Rob Jones, especially